Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support me. Wade Wilson, better known as Deadpool, cracked his neck and stretched his arms above his head. You ever wake up and think, "'Cause this is too normal? 'Cause I mean, look at this place." He glanced around the white picket fence neighborhood that looked like it had been plucked out of a 1950s sitcom. "Hey guy, this isn't Team I See." The quiet chirping of birds and the distant sound of a lawnmower set the tone for this unsettlingly peaceful suburb. Wade felt the grass under his feet perfectly trimmed, not a blade out of place. Too perfect. Yeah, he muttered to himself. Definitely a simulation. But this wasn't Tada's first rodeo with weird alternate reality. Wade's eyes scanned the house, the street, the neighbors. They smiled too much, waved too eagerly. The sun seemed to hang just a little too high in the sky, as if some giant hand had placed it there to fit some Norman Rockwell-inspired vision of life. Something says off, and I am gonna find it. He pulled his mask down over his scarred face and headed toward the house that was supposed to be his. It had a red door, a cheerful yellow facade, and a mailbox labeled Wilson. Cute. Wade stepped inside. The house was disturbingly normal pictures on the walls, neatly arranged furniture, the faint smell of pancake. He noticed something strange. He noticed something. Every time he blinked, the picture frames on the walls shifted. One moment, they displayed a serene landscape. The next, Deadpool himself in full costume, striking a ridiculous pose, blinked back to the landscape. "Whoever made this simulation has a weird sense of humor," Wade remarked, shaking his head. "Pray, or maybe it's just me." In the kitchen, Wanda Maximoff's Scarlet Witch herself stood in front of the stove, cooking breakfast. She hummed a soft tune, looking disturbingly serene. Wade paused. Wanda never hummed like that, at least not without the weight of a few dozen traumas pushing down on her shoulder. Morning sunshine, Deadpool sauntered into the room, cooking pancakes of doom, the recipe to world-ending sorrow. "Wanda, did tea turn around? Good morning, Wade. Breakfast will be ready in a minute. Have a seat." Wade narrowed his eyes behind his mask. This was Wanda, right? But something was definitely off. "Since when do you cook?" He edged closer and Dante, "Give me that. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, nonsense." She turned to face him, her expression blank, a smile painted on her lip. Wade froze. Her eyes, there was something hollow in them, like the light behind them had flickered out. It was Wanda, but it wasn't, at least not entirely. Terrifying, Wade muttered under his breath. $10 says this is some kind of trap. He sat down at the table more to figure things out than to eat. The pancakes landed in front of him, stacked neatly on a plate. But when Wade tried to cut into them, the knife bent as if the pancakes were made of steel. "Okay, that's new," he said, chuckling to himself. "I've had some tough meals in my time, but metal pancakes points for creativity." Wanda's smile didn't waver. She simply stood there, staring. Wade tapped the plate with the knife, hearing the unmistakable clang of metal. "Right?" he said, standing up. "We're in some sort of magical VR world, aren't we? Nice touch with the creepy pancake thing, by the way, really sets the tone." Wanda didn't respond. She blinked, and suddenly the house around them shifted. The kitchen vanished, replaced by a vast empty field. Wade stood ankle-deep in grass with Wanda floating a few feet above him, her body glowing with scarlet energy. "All right, Maximoff, you got me. What's named the game here? Virtual escape room. Magic funhouse there," Wade called up to her, waving his arms. "I am game, just Dante, make it too easy." But Wanda's expression remained distant, her voice soft. "I didn't do this, Wade, I think we were both trapped." Wade's grin faltered, though he recovered quickly. "Trapped in this, Peffin. I've seen weirder stuff on Rick and Morty rerun." But even he knew this was different. Wanda wasn't in control, not this time, and if Wanda wasn't running the show, then who or what? He clicked his tongue and began pacing. "I must see crazy suburban hellscape, unbreakable breakfast, magic floating lady. Yeah, this screams trap, but for who?" Wanda drifted down to the ground, her scarlet aura flickering. "I created this reality," she admitted, her voice shaky. "Right, but I didn't mean to. Something went wrong. I can top control it. It's all like the world has a mind of its own now." So it's saying like Skynet, but with magic pancakes instead of killer robots. Here, Wade quipped. "Nearer makes sense." Wanda closed her eyes, concentrating. The field began to ripple, the sky above swirling into storm clouds. I've been trying to break through, but this world adapts. It changes every time I think I've found a way out. Wade raised an eyebrow beneath his mask. So you were saying it's like a haunted magical Rubik's set cube and we break the test rat stuck inside it. Something like that, Wanda said, her voice heavy with guilt. Wade leaned back, crossing his arms. Well, don't worry your glowing head about it. I am Deadpool. Breaking the rules of reality is my whole tech. He took a deep breath, tilted his head, and then smashed his fist into the ground. To Wanda's surprise, the world around them cracked, just a tiny fracture, but enough to reveal a glimpse of the swirling chaos beneath. Oh, wow, Wade said, delighted. Looks like I found a weak spot. Betcha did he see that coming, huh? But just as quickly, the crack sealed itself and the field around them reformed. Wanda let out a frustrated sigh. It repairs itself. Every time we make progress, the world shifts and rebuilds. Wade rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Parso is like a video game boss that heals itself mid-fight, annoying but not impossible. Wanda glanced at him, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. You think we can break it? Of course, Wade said confidently. But first, we need to figure out who's been pulling the string. If this world's got a mind of its own, then it's probably got a master control somewhere. We just need to find it, poke it, and then boom, we read out. Wanda's face tightened. It's not that simple, Wade. This isn't just magic. It's tied to me, to my emotion. Every time I feel something, grief, guilt, fear, it strengthens the illusion. Wade sighed, his tone softening slightly. Well, that's just peachy. So we were not just stuck in a magical prison. We were stuck in your magical therapy session. Wanda didn't respond, but Wade could see the pain in her eye. This world wasn't just a trap. It was a reflection of her inner turmoil, and if they didn't find a way to break free soon, it might swallow them both whole. Wade took a step closer to Wanda, his tone unusually serious. Okay, here, so the deal, we've got two options. Option A, I make a bunch of jokes, we punch a hole through reality, and hope for the best. Option B, we dig deep, figure out what's fueling this thing, and unravel it from the inside, your call. Wanda hesitated, her hands trembling. I don't know if I am strong enough to stop it. Wade shrugged. Good thing I am here. Then you might be the magic powerhouse, but I've got one thing this world doesn't absurdity. And you know what? They say absurdity beats everything. Before Wanda could respond, the ground beneath them began to shake. The world flickered, glitching like a malfunctioning computer program. Wade grinned. Looks like we pissed it off. The field around them dissolved, replaced by a sprawling cityscape, a distorted version of New York City. Skyscrapers twisted and warped, the sky crackled with red lightning, and shadowy figures moved through the street. All right, said, cracking his knuckles. I'd aim to take this reality down a peg. He darted forward, charging at one of the shadowy figures. His katanas appeared in his hands, and with a swift motion, he sliced through the figure, only to find it dissolve into mist. Wade blinked. Well, that was anticlimactic. Wanda, her hands glowing with scarlet energy, floated beside him. Dear, these are just projections. They're not real. Wade laughed. Nothing's real in this place, but that sounds the fun part. If nothing's real, then I get to make up my own rule. With a wild grin, Wade threw himself into the chaos, slashing at the shifting shadows, leaping from one distorted building to the next. As he fought, he could feel the world pushing back, adapting to his every move. But Wade didn't care. Wade didn't care. This world, twisted and bizarre as it was, didn't intimidate him. If anything, it egged him on. The weirder it got, the more alive he felt. Each leap sent him bouncing between crumbling skyscrapers, dodging flashes of red lightning as the reality beneath his feet bent and buckled. The shadows, once shapeless figures, began taking on distorted forms, mimicking enemies he defaced in the real world. Old foes, their faces stretched and grotesque, lunged at him with claws and blades. Nice try, Wade muttered as he sliced through one, a twisted version of an old Hydra agent. But I've already seen enough horror movies to know where this is going. Wanda wasn't far behind, hovering slightly above the ground, her eyes glowing with that familiar scarlet energy. With each pulse of her magic, the streets below twisted, shifting back into place, or at least trying to. But every time they did, the glitching intensified like the simulation was struggling to maintain its grip. We can try to keep this up forever, Wanda said, her voice tight with concentration. The more we fight it, the stronger it gets. Wade, flipping in midair to dodge a hail of debris, grinned under his mask. Good thing I don't do forever. I do now, and right now, I'm kicking some serious. Before he could finish, the world flickered again. Wade felt the shift in his gut as the cityscape crumbled away, leaving them both standing in an endless white void. The silence was deafening. No crackling of lightning, no ominous shadows. Just nothing. Wade landed with a soft thud, looking around at the stark emptiness. Well, this is anticlimactic, he said, glancing at Wanda. Did we win? Or is this the part where the big boss shows up for the final showdown? Wanda frowned, her eyes scanning the blank expanse. No, this isn't right. Something's missing. As if on cue, the white void shifted, slowly forming a new reality around them. This time it wasn't a city or a field. They were in a room, a simple nondescript room with plain walls and a single door. Wade's hand instinctively went to the hilt of his katana. I don't like it too quiet, too normal. Wanda stepped forward, her magic flickering at her fingertips. This feels familiar. Wade watched her carefully, his usual snark absent for a moment. There was something about the way Wanda said it, the way she moved, that made him pause. What do you mean? I've been here before, she whispered, more to herself than to him. Her hands hovered in front of her, and the door before them seemed to tremble under the weight of her magic. This is where it started, where I lost control. Wade approached the door cautiously, his usual bravado tempered by a rare moment of seriousness. If this is the source, then opening that door is probably a bad idea, right? Wanda's eyes met his, and he saw the fear behind them. It's the only way out. With a deep breath, Wade nodded. All right then, let's do this.
You do the magic thing, and I'll be right behind you with swords ... in case things go sideways.
Wanda placed her hand on the door, her magic flowing into it, twisting the handle until it clicked open. The room beyond was dark pitch black even, but Wade could feel the weight of something immense on the other side, like a presence, just waiting for them to step through. You sure about this? Wade asked, gripping his katana a little tighter. Wanda didn't answer. She stepped through the door, and Wade followed, his senses on high alert. As soon as they crossed the threshold, the door slammed shut behind them, and the darkness seemed to swallow them whole. For a moment, Wade thought they were back in the void, another endless nothingness. But then he heard it. A voice low and echoing, like it came from the depths of the earth itself.
Welcome back.
Wade's heart skipped a beat. Whoever or whatever that voice belonged to, it was something ancient, something powerful. Wanda's expression hardened, her magic flaring up around her. I know what you are, she said, her voice steady, and I am not afraid of you. The voice chuckled, a deep rumbling sound that seemed to vibrate through the air. You should be. You created me after all. Wade stepped up beside her, his swords at the ready. Okay, that's creepy. Are we dealing with some kind of evil twin situation? Because if so, I vote we stab first and ask questions later. The darkness shifted, and suddenly they weren't alone anymore. A figure materialized in front of them, cloaked in shadow, but unmistakably familiar. It was Wanda, or rather a twisted version of her, her features distorted and cruel, her eyes glowing with a malevolent red light. This is what you created. The shadow, Wanda said, her voice dripping with venom. You tried to run from your pain, to bury it, but you can't escape it. I am your grief. I am your fear. Wanda stood her ground, her magic pulsing brighter. You not real. The shadow, Wanda laughed. Oh, I am real. All right, I am the part of you that you've been running from all this time, and now it's time to stop running. Wade, ever the opportunist, raised his hand. Quick question. If she sensed your grief and fear, what does that make me? The comic relief. The shadow, Wanda turned her gaze on him, her lips curling into a sneer. You nothing. Ouch, Wade said, clutching his chest in mock pain that cuts deep. But as the banter faded, the tension between the two Wandas grew. The shadow version stepped forward, her magic swirling around her in a chaotic storm. You think you can just wish me away? I am you, the part of you that will never go away. Wanda's eyes narrowed, her magic flaring brighter in response. Number, me. You were just the part I haven't dealt with yet. With a sudden burst of energy, Wanda unleashed her magic, a wave of scarlet light crashing toward her shadow self. The shadow Wanda countered with her own magic, and the two forces collided in a violent explosion of power. Wade ducked, narrowly avoiding the blast. Note to self, he muttered, stay out of the magic fight. But as the battle raged on, Wade could see the toll it was taking on Wanda. She was strong, but the shadow was relentless, feeding off her emotions. growing stronger with each strike. Come on, Wanda, Wade called out. You got this, just, Dante die or anything. I'm kind of counting on you to get us out of here. Wanda gritted her teeth, pushing harder, but the shadow's power continued to grow. For every blow Wanda landed, the shadow seemed to bounce back twice as strong. This isn't truly working, Wanda gasped, her magic faltering. Wade frowned, watching the shadow with growing unease. Something wasn't right. This wasn't just a fight. The shadow wasn't trying to win it. It was trying to consume her. Wait a second, Wade muttered, piecing it together. This whole thing, ... it's not about beating the shadow. It's about accepting it. Wanda glanced at him, confused. Wade pointed at the shadow. You can truly fight this thing. It's part of you. You don't get rid of it by blasting it to pieces. You gotta own it. Wanda hesitated, her magic flickering, but ... that's everything I am afraid of. Exactly, Wade said, stepping up beside her. But that doesn't mean it. It's not part of who you are. You can run from it. You gotta deal with it. Otherwise, this place is never gonna let us go. The shadow Wanda sneered, her power crackling in the air. You think you can just accept me? I am your darkness, your pain. You'll never be free of me. Wanda closed her eyes, her magic calming number. But I don't have to be afraid of you anymore. With a deep breath, she stepped forward, reaching out toward her shadow self. The shadow flinched, recoiling from the gesture. But Wanda didn't stop. Her hand touched the shadow, and for a moment, the world seemed to stand still. I accept you, Wanda whispered. The shadow trembled, its form wavering, and then with a soft sigh, it dissolved into a cloud of scarlet mist, merging back into Wanda's body. The room around them began to shift again, the walls fading into nothingness. Wade blinked, looking around at the dissolving scenery. Well, I'll be damned, that actually worked. Wanda let out a shaky breath, her shoulders relaxing for the first time since they arrived at Sunover. Yeah, Wade said, glancing around the fading void. But are we, out? Or is this just another layer of the magic onion? The world around them flickered one last time, and then they were back standing in the middle of an empty street in New York City. The real New York, not some twisted simulation. Wade looked up at the sky, breathing in the familiar city air. Yep, that's more like it. Wanda stood beside him, her expression unreadable. Thank you, Wade, for helping me. Wade shrugged, his usual grin returning. It's, what I do. Save the world, crack a few jokes, stab a few bad guys. No biggie. But as they stood there, Wade couldn't shake the feeling that something was still off. The world felt real again. Sure, but after everything they'd just been through, he couldn't help but wonder, was this the real world, or just another illusion? Hey, Wanda, he said, glancing at her, are we, actually out this time? Wanda smiled faintly, her eyes tired but clear. Yes, Wade, we're out. Wade stared at her for a long moment, then shrugged. Okay, but if you were wrong and we end up back in Pancake Hell, I am holding you responsible. Wanda laughed softly, deal. With that, Wade sheathed his katanas and began walking down the street, hands behind his head. Now where's sent the nearest chimichanga stand? I am starving.